Well, let's stay in Bethlehem and speak to Xavier Abu Eid. He is a political scientist and former communication advisor to the PLO. Hi there, Professor. Thank you for your time. I'm wondering if you think this joy that people are feeling in Bethlehem right now is temporary, or do you expect 2026 to have more disappointment ahead?
Thank you. I think we have to put things even in further context. Bethlehem is a city which is besieged. We are surrounded by 22 Israeli colonial settlements, all of them illegal under international law and considered to be a war crime. Actually, it will be 23 very soon, as the Israeli government approved almost a week ago. Settlement right behind where I am in the eastern area of Bethlehem, which is known as Bet Sahur, where the Bible says the shepherd's field was, where the shepherds saw the star that led them to greet Jesus Christ in Bethlehem. So eventually what we are seeing here is an act of resilience of Palestinians that are celebrating just 100 kilometers or less from Gaza, knowing that there is a genocide still going on, and understanding that their own Palestinian Christian community and Muslims in Gaza that would like to come to Bethlehem to celebrate in the same country are being prevented to do so by the Israeli occupation.
It's quite interesting. You call it resilience. I know some residents describe the joy that they're feeling as a form of resistance. From a political perspective, how powerful do you think that idea is?
I think it's important to understand that the message of Christmas, if we're going to go from a religious perspective, it's a message of hope. And I think Palestinians understand very well that those symbols are part of their national identity, both Christians and Muslims. We understand that what's happening here is kind of temporary, as you were presenting in the first question. But we also know that Palestinians have refused to leave the country. Palestinians have continued here. There is a genocide going on in Gaza. There are settlements around here in the occupied West Bank. There is settler violence and attacks against Palestinians, and yet Palestinians are still celebrating here. I mean, if we are just to refer, for example, to the entry of Patriarch Pier Battista Pizzaballa from Jerusalem. That's a procession which is centuries old, coming from Jaffa Gate in the old city of Jerusalem that Israeli settlers are trying to take over, going through the Jerusalem road, gating to Mar Elias Monastery that is now surrounded by these illegal settlements of Har Homa and Givat Hamatos, entering through the illegal Israeli annexation wall, and eventually finding all this kindness and charm of Palestinians here inside this besieged city of Bethlehem. So in other words, it is a story of resilience, but most importantly, it's Palestinians keeping a tradition that has been here in Bethlehem for centuries.
You briefly touched on this earlier, but tourism and religious symbolism are central to Bethlehem's identity, yet, as you pointed out, the occupation and economic restrictions remain unchanged. Do you think moments like this, people feeling this joy at this Christmas season, do you think this can translate somehow into meaningful political pressure?
We hope so, but unfortunately, the international community has not been taking the actions needed. Let's remember, our viewers, that here, around Christian celebrations, there is also called the status quo agreement that includes European countries that during the time of the Ottoman control over Palestine, they were allowed to be part of the Christian celebrations. I'm talking about France, Spain, Belgium, Italy, that they do have a responsibility with the continuation of those traditions. And so far, we haven't seen much pressure and accountability measures over the Israeli occupation. But let's talk about tourism. As you were saying, we expect here in Bethlehem around 10% of the occupancy in hotels that we had before the start of the Israeli genocide. Now, this 10% will not be enough. And most of the people will be actually Palestinians coming from Israel, Palestinian citizens of Israel, or Palestinians from 48. Palestinians from the occupied West Bank, some of them have made it to Bethlehem, but many of them are actually scared to come here, not just because of the checkpoints, but also because of settler attacks and the environment of the Israeli occupation, even in Israel proper. Last night, the Israeli police attacked a gathering of Palestinian Christians and Muslims celebrating Christmas in Haifa itself. So in other words, this is not the environment to celebrate, yet people in Bethlehem are sending a message of hope all over the world.
Interesting. Great ending there, at least. Xavier Abu Eid, thank you so much for speaking with us here on TRT World. Appreciate it.